episode 14, Mr. and Mrs. The Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about home buying. You know, first kind of, situations or dealings, experience with buying your first home.
You're going to give us like both sides of it though, because we get to be on the home buyer side and then you get to tell us kind of like on the loan officer side.
Yeah, I'll just touch on a couple of topics. I mean, I've been doing mortgages 8 years. I just want to focus on like put yourself in the first time buyer's shoes, you know, more so than talking about industry stuff. We'll do a couple episodes on this just because people love buying houses. How are you, Mrs. Caparosa?
2 days out from my due date. In pain, nervous.
Looking like $1 million.
I don't feel like $1 million though.
Well, you look like it. That's all that matters.
That's sweet.
I don't feel like $1 million even when I look like $1 million.
I'd rather feel like $1 million and look like $1 million.
I'd rather have $1 million and look like a quarter. All right. So what was your first experience renting? Like, did you hate it? Because I had some bad experiences renting. When I wrote this question, I was like, wow, I had some bad experiences renting.
Really?
Yeah.
So renting outside of college, like when I was paying my own bills, like I moved out for the first time.
Just like, yeah, when you're on your own. Not college. I don't really consider dorming or going away for college.
Yeah.
Because it's just you're not in the real world yet.
Yeah.
You
know. Because I did rent an apartment in college my last 2 years, but again, it wasn't like I wasn't paying bills. I picked a place based on like, you know, the budget and with my roommates, whatever. My first renting experience when I moved out, I think I was like 23. I moved into the Avalon.
Yeah.
Those exist like everywhere, right?
Yeah, they're dope.
And it's funny because I actually moved to the Avalon in Stratford. I thought it was a good experience because you don't know what you don't know. And we're probably going to learn a lot about that in this episode where I'm like, great, I pay this price. I know exactly what I get. I get awesome amenities. I wasn't thinking like what made sense financially. Obviously, purchasing would have been better.
That's one thing people often that I speak to when they try to get a mortgage, people look at renting as like, you know, the bottom of the bottom. Renting has its benefits as well.
Yeah. I feel like we like talk about this a lot where we say like you are like, oh, I hate when Grant Cardone says like renting's bad.
Yeah, because the way
or renting's good or whatever.
He's trying to breed investors. So it's like, you know, that's his spiel.
Yeah.
But he just makes it seem, you know, the way he makes it seem, I'll be out of business. You know, nobody will get mortgages, Grant. Nobody's gonna, you know. Which
we can clarify what he means and like kind of what we talk about when we talk about him.
Clarify what he means. Grant Cardone, I want you to clarify what you mean.
But anyway, so Stratford, Avalon, I thought it was like pretty easy. Like they tell you the fixed price, you know exactly what you're getting. I wasn't a single woman, but I was moving out by myself. And so I guess that's like a single woman. It was nice to know that if like anything broke or anything.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So to me, I had a pretty good experience, but I also was paying heavy rent and like I was paying for a good experience basically.
The Avalon's is good. So it's interesting because all like rental experiences are different. If you rent from someone, let's say, who owns a home and has a multifamily, right? You're dealing directly with that landlord. If you rent from or like a building.
So everything's by the book.
Yeah. Avalon's pretty secure in terms, they got gym. They have a lot of amenities.
Yeah. I had like a gym, a pool, like, you know, they had little community events.
You never really get frustrated or know how much it sucks to rent when like your apartment gets broken into or valuables get stolen. Because that's when these corporations or whoever you're dealing with renting the spot shows their true colors, right? Because when you look in that lease, it probably says it definitely says we're not responsible for anything. I've rented a lot of places on my own time. My first experience renting is probably renting a room from a friend I had, George and Martha. It's funny how in life you think back to like very low points in your life that you thought were, but then when I think back to it, I'm like, that was the funnest time. I was probably like 18.
So you moved out like right away?
Yeah, I was gone. So that was just whatever. I was just paying her money.
But you didn't have any bad experience? Because sometimes people have bad experiences.
Well, actually, okay, so almost, now that I think about it, I'm glad we did this episode. I think I've gotten robbed at like every rental property I ever had. Oh my God.
Not by the landlord.
Just realizing this. Okay, let's do a little timeline. So George and Martha, Washington Terrace, rented a room from them. I don't know, let's say
They don't still live there. You're not like giving away their address, right?
No, no, of course not. $100, maybe like 150 a week. I think it was. It was like $500 a month. It was just a room. It was a room it was almost a porch that they turned into a room. So I had to have my own heater. It was real humble beginnings, to say the least. And then when I had to use the bathroom, whatever, I had to go into the apartment.
Into like their house?
Yeah, into their apartment. God, babe. But that was something she had negotiated with the landlord. That was part of her apartment. So
she rented, and then she rented to you.
Yeah, she rented the room, so she made money. I was out drinking with my friend, and I came home one day, and I was walking in with him to show him the room. Why? I don't know, because it's my room. and when we walked in, the door was, there was a key there, and anyone could get to it because the front door was always open. It was like cracked open, and I was like, what the fuck? So I looked in the room. It was ransacked. Someone robbed it. No names, but everybody knew it was an inside job. And that
means that it was someone you knew.
Correct. I think. Well,
yeah. Who would go in to rob like a room?
Actually, I was gonna hold my tongue, but to be honest, I think it was my friend, the guy that I used to know. Right? I don't really.
Not the one you were renting from.
Yeah, I believe. Again, it's one of those cases that was never solved, but it was just so much sketchy shit surrounding the situation. So that got robbed.
The name you just mentioned, Martha and whatever.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, no concrete evidence on that. Fast forward. So then I got an apartment in Bridgeport a while later, like probably 5-6 years later. But that was, I think, my first apartment, like renting my first apartment. Because prior to that, I was doing that. I was, renting rooms from people, kind of living wherever the wind took me.
Were you single at this time?
Yeah, I guess. And so got this apartment on Wood Ave. It was like a basement apartment. It was nice, humble. And my Aunt Emma had died, and me and my brother went, because I owned no hard bottoms, no, like funeral clothes, no suit, nothing, none of that. So me and my brother went to Sims, and I bought a bunch of shit. I spent like $300 on, nice clothes for the funeral. And then we put the stuff there, right? I had $8,000 in cash in an envelope. When you buy envelopes, they come in that little box. In like envelopes, they come in the little box. I had the $8,000 in there, just sitting there. It was like out and plain day. So me and my brother went to go get food. We come back, and the back door is open, and all the clothes that I just bought were gone. So I'm like, what?
What about your $8,000?
Listen, so I'm like, first thing that I thought of was the money. I didn't even care about the clothes or nothing. So I go, oh my God, they got me for $8,000. And I just closed my eyes, and I looked like this. Like I always do when I think something bad's happening, I always do one eye Willie. I was like this. I looked, and it was sitting right where it was. So I walked over. They never even touched it. But the best part about it is I had chocolates, and the chocolates were like the chocolates were opened up on the couch. So whoever it was just chilling there eating chocolates. Me and my brother noticed that. He said, there's chocolates and the wrappers are open. Someone was just fucking sitting in here while they were robbing you. And we think the person might have ran out the back. I don't know. But I was very upset because I had to buy new clothes, but like I had the $8,000.
I wouldn't have even thought twice about the new clothes at that point. I would have had a heart attack.
And then...
You got really lucky. Ow. Someone just bit me.
So that's the second. Okay, theft. Then moved back in with my mom. Then moved back in with my mom for some odd years, and then got an apartment next to Seaside on Atlantic Street. And I had it was like a $7,000 chain that I had. It's like a Diamond Angel Miami Cuban link and a ring.
You paid $7,000 for a chain.
Yeah, I put that joint on layaway. It took me about 2 years to pay it off.
I hate you.
I remember when I came back to buy it, the guy goes, I feel like I've known you for so long. And we started laughing. I said, yeah, we've been friends for a while now.
You can put it on layaway, chain?
Yeah, Fordham Road, the Bronx. Yeah, you just keep paying towards it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then they robbed that apartment, too. They were scheduling like a pest control thing, right? The building was clean. There wasn't roaches or mice or anything. But there was a notice that went out to everyone. And it said, check if you're not going to be home, etc. I said,
like, hide your shit if you're not going to be home.
Whatever, get ready. Yeah, exactly. So I wrote on the note, no roaches, no nothing. I won't be here. Like, don't come in.
So it was a corporate place and they still
Corporate
didn't
place.
respect your...
corporate
Okay.
place. Once I get that name, I'm gonna name drop you and get you fucking canceled. So, because it still boils my blood. So come home from work and the note's not on the door. Instantly, I'm like, okay, did the person take it? Note's not on the door. So I open the door. Right when I open the door, I see the note on my bed. It was a studio apartment, so there was one room. So right when I opened the door, I looked. I seen the paper I wrote on my bed. So instantly, I'm like, and you could feel it. I know it. You feel it right in your gut. I got fucking robbed again. And I'm just like, oh, my diamond necklace. Because I knew it was out and plain. It was
This
right
is the
there.
$7,000 necklace?
Yeah, it was out. It was right there. Like, my necklace was just right there. I usually always wear it. It was hanging. It was like probably the first. And I just did the one eye again, but it wasn't there. Gone. My pinky ring. It was like, I don't know, $700 gone. I think I had some weed gone.
$7,000 necklace, I would pass out.
I was just beside myself. It was 12 degrees outside. So cold outside that because I was like, I'm going outside for a walk, and I'm like, damn, it's too brick. I'm coming back in. Listen to this. Shout out to the Bridgeport police. This is about 3:30. I called the Bridgeport police to, hey, theft, please come. 3:30 called them. PM. A Bridgeport cop showed up at, I think, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And I'm like, what? Is this real life? So I open the door. It's so cold outside. The cop rolls down the window. He's like, come over here. I'm not coming to you. Shout out, Bridgeport Police Department. You're doing a great job. I love that for you.
To be fair, I feel like Bridgeport...
Sweetie, do you understand? So I'm at the door, right? It's 12 degrees outside. I'm freezing. I didn't even come down in a shirt because I figured, all right. I came down in a shirt, but like a sweatshirt. I didn't come down in a jacket or nothing because I figured he'd come right in the little lobby. And I'm waving like this. He goes, yeah, come over here. I'm not coming to you. I'm like, am I buying heroin or some shit right now? Like, I come, I don't understand. I was telling him the story. I'm all, I'm upset. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, I mean, tell you, to be honest, nothing's going to happen. I'm like, what do you mean? I just lost $7,000 in jewelry. He's like, you could write a report. You could call a detective. And he's like, but, if it's not a homicide, it's really not on the list.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that Bridgeport sees some crazy shit. So to them...
When he pulled up, he's like, yeah, sorry about your little robbery. I just came from he didn't care. And nobody cared. And then I went to go see some attorneys and they were like, yeah, represent yourself. Go to people's court. It's fine. It's, I spent months, evidence, witnesses, everything. Witness bailed on me the day of court. I come into court. They got like 9 lawyers. Those lawyers destroyed me. I'm not a lawyer.
Like your landlord.
Yeah, the landlord, whoever. The pest control had 2 lawyers, and then my building had two lawyers. And they were lawyered up. I had the doctor's evidence. It's such a joke, right? Court sometimes, especially like not people's court, small claims court. I looked up at the judge at one point, and he was on his phone like, texting as I'm talking.
Oh my God.
And I'm going. So I had receipts, I had proof, witness didn't show, whatever. And then the lady is so funny because, defense attorneys, they'll make you cry. They will, a defense attorney, because that's their job. They're not trying to actually hurt you.
Yeah.
But I remember coming in with so much confidence. The lady ripped me apart. They psychologically, fuck you, attorneys, rip me apart. And then they make you, at one point I was like, wait, I'm guilty. That's how good the fucking attorney was.
Babe, but I literally just asked you, I think it was yesterday. I was like, have you ever been to like a trial?
That's small claim. It's small claims.
That fucking sounds like a trial if this bitch is making you cry.
Sure. They ripped me apart. I had all the evidence, right? My case was won. This is how much of a fucking scam this shit is. The system is such a scam. It's crazy. I had all the evidence. The judge at the end goes, just a question. Do you do background checks on your employees? To the pest control guy, right? Ding, point taken. And the guy goes, no. And he goes, did you do a background check on this guy? And he goes, no. And he goes, we implemented the system now to do background checks on all our employees. And he's like, okay, where is that guy, the employee who it was? Because they had the guy. They had the guy's name, everything. And he's no longer with us. And he's like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, boy. Because like guilt, guilty or whatever. I was looking for them to be guilty, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this in the bag. I think I celebrated. I think I popped a bottle of Moe that night. And then I get a thing in the mail. Yeah, you're beat. Not enough evidence. They're not guilty.
And you lost your $7,000 chain. Yeah,
but it's not about that. It was a life experience. Yeah, it was a life experience. But all that stuff, now that, I say it to say this, renting and stuff gave me PTSD. And now even my house, I'm like hiding shit in my house. Sometimes I'll be in my house hiding stuff. And I'm like, wait, who am I hiding this from?
Oh my God.
Anyways, what I'm going to ask is, what was your experience buying your first home? But I think I want to know who told, like, when did you know, hey, I want to buy a home? Or was it Gabby or someone that influenced you to buy a home?
So my parents, when they were together, they were really big into like purchasing a home, renting it out. I think they did a lot of buying and renting it out, or just like buying and selling. Like they've purchased like multiple properties, both of them. They have rental properties. My dad does that now still. So I think that as soon as we got like jobs and we could like save money and do that kind of thing, my sister's obviously like almost 5 years older than me. I think they probably came to her first and were like, hey, you should think about buying a home. And I'm sure she thought about that. She must have been, because we moved out at the same time. So like if I was 23, she was 24, 25, 26, 27. So when my sister, and obviously looking up to my sister, and even though I was like almost 5 years younger than her, a lot of my life, I'm like, and I'm sure you experienced this too, like when your sibling starts driving first because they're older than you. I remember my sister was like driving and I was like, okay, I need to drive. So I didn't even have a permit and I was like, I need to drive. So when she bought a house, I was like, okay, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a condo. I immediately started talking to Gabby and Danny, so my cousins who are in real estate at Modern Day. And I was like, hey, I want to buy. But I don't think my parents really talked about it with me yet because I didn't really talk to them about like my finances. And I really didn't know that I wanted to buy a house yet or anything like that. I just saw her do it and I was like, I want to do it. And you know me, I've always been like this where I feel like I want to do shit by myself in the sense that like, let me go explore my options by myself. Like I don't want to talk to anyone until like I know what I want or I know what I can afford or I know kind of deal. So I just went, talked to them. They connected me with a loan officer. And then I figured out like where I was, what could I afford and that kind of thing. And then I got my parents involved once it started to get like a little bit more serious. But yeah, I think it was like seeing my sister do it and I was like, okay, I want to do it. My sister influenced me because she did it.
Okay.
I didn't really understand it when my parents did it. You know, I didn't look at it as like a business or like a money making thing. I was just like,
my dad, I was little. He made smart decisions when he purchased, but then he couldn't, I don't think he could time the market where he could sell for profit. He was always thinking or saying, oh, real estate, nah, rent, there's no point in owning, so nobody ever convinced me or influenced me or inspired me, to buy a house. I always thought, buy a house, you need 150 grand, yada, yada. I didn't know when I bought my house, I'd get it for $7,000. Right, I never thought. I mean, even saying that I got this house for $7,000 right now seems fake.
That seems fake to me.
It's 3.5% down, 175 is actually 6,100.
But then there's like closing costs.
Nah, I got a solid credit, covered everything.
What? Oh my God, Nicholas!
Your boy. If you want to buy a home para $6,000,
call my husband.
Yeah, but I always thought there was a lot of money surrounding it. Mm-hmm. And then when I got into mortgages, it's funny because you would think I get in the mortgages, I got in the real estate. I didn't because, I went so hard with mortgage and learning that I didn't care about real estate, which I should have. When I got in the business, if I bought, let's say 4 houses, I would have made $1 million just based off the prices. Because the houses, the multifamilies in Bridgeport I was looking at were 180. They're going for like almost 5 now, which isn't crazy. Real. It's like kind of a little juice in there. A lot of juice in that bubble. But
if you bought back then, you would have made all that juice and then you didn't have to deal with it going down.
Then I saw with this house, because even this house I was going to buy and flip. I was going to buy this house for $165, put $20 into it and sell it for $250. This is worth close to 5. The inspiration to buy came from buying this and then sitting on it for a little bit. Like when I started to see equity, I'm, oh my God, this is real. Then you know, sometimes you have to go through it to realize there's a lot of people that think buying is not the wave until they actually own, you know?
I
Especially
think
when
that's
you
what it
rent
was
your
for
whole
me.
life. People
Yeah.
that rent, there's some people that have great credit, you know, decent income that rent, that just because it's more convenient, especially people in New York and, you know.
Well, I'm a homeowner, and when I moved to Dallas and to a city,
Yeah,
I
it
rented.
makes sense.
It makes sense in some situations, but I think key info here is like you don't know what you don't know. So follow the person who talks about mortgages, follow those people on social media, or read about it, or reach out to a loan officer, because even when I bought my home, I really didn't know that it was like going to be such like a profitable, I can make money from it. Like I didn't know what the fuck equity was. I just bought a home because I thought that was like the next thing that I needed to do.
Yeah, of course. But that's good. That's
but when
very good.
you-
I never had that. You know what I mean? I never
Yeah.
thought that was something
But
that
there's
was
so
achievable.
much that you can, there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah.
That people just don't know. So it's good to
So
just like educate yourself.
What was your experience buying your first home? Do you think it was hard applying for the mortgage?
So this is like funny because you're a loan officer, obviously. And I feel like you come home sometimes and you're like, oh my God, this client, either you say like, oh my God, this client like doesn't get back to me, or you say, oh my God, this client won't stop calling me, you know, because you have like both.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm always like, I'm the client that I want to talk to you the least. Like with my loan officer,
Those are kind of the best clients, because if you let a professional do his job, there's a lot of bad loan officers out there. A lot of bad, you know, if you get hooked up with the wrong people in real estate business and mortgage business, you could lose a lot of money. You could make a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah.
So if you let a professional, someone who's real good at their work, and do their job, that's when it's usually best. And people that want to talk the least have the most to say and the best questions to ask in that period of time.
Yeah, for me, I think it's because I wasn't like pressed. Like I feel like these last few years, so many people are like pressed to get into a home. They really need to get a home, or they really need to upgrade because their family's growing, like, or whatever. Maybe not in these last few years. In general, that was just not my situation at the time. I actually started looking for homes, condos, and I stopped. And then Gabby was like, just get a house. Like, you can afford a house. Like, it's better. You won't have, like, the HOA fees, whatever. So then she was like, let's look at houses. And I was like, okay. But I wasn't, like, in a rush, or I had no, what is that? Yeah, like, I wasn't in a rush. I didn't have a, like...
Motivation?
Yeah, to buy. I was just, like, chilling. Like, if I find something that I really like, I'll buy it. So, in that sense, if my loan officer...
Were you pre-approved already at this point?
Of course.
And then did you call him to say, hey, what are my numbers look like if I find a house? Because it's different. So people a lot of times, and again, this is something that behind the scenes is people don't realize if they want to buy a condo, a single family, a multifamily, you know, PUD, whatever it is, it all has an effect on, you know, qualifications.
Yeah, I think originally, I had to submit all my paperwork to him, but what I liked about him is that he called me when he needed something, which actually got the ball rolling for me because, again, I wasn't like pressed. And I can be pretty like, if you need something from me, like even right now with my first hire, I'm like, please tell me shit that you need from me. Cause like, I'm not going to come to you and I really need you to start coming to me to ask me for stuff or getting for me to prove anything. Because I have a lot going on. So I like that he came to me and was like, hey, I need this, and would send me like reminders if he needed something. But I also wouldn't bug him and be like, where are we? What is this? What is that? Because I don't know. That's just not who I am. So it worked out. But I had a pretty good experience. He told me like what I qualified for. Like I think they give you like a max, like you're pre-approved for like a max amount.
Yeah, max amount. Yeah.
So when I got that, we started like transitioning from condos to homes because it was in the same number. It was Y's or whatever. So I think they actually said it was like harder to get approved for a condo than a home, right?
Condos, yeah, financing on a condo is challenging for sure.
Yeah.
Because that has nothing to do with the buyer, the seller. I mean, it technically does have to do with the seller because they should check their documents, but it has to do with the association.
Yeah. So I think in that sense, like I had a pretty like good experience with my loan officer. I didn't think that part was hard. And then obviously my agents were like really awesome and they just showed me everything I wanted to see. And then they pushed me in the right direction to get a home instead of a condo. And it's like the best thing I could have done.
What things you had no idea about once you owned a home?
Nothing.
So but for me, no, but
I didn't
for
know
me,
shit.
when I think about that, I think about the oil because I remember when I bought the house, the realtor said, there's only an eighth of oil, whatever. I was, all right. And then I ran out of oil. And the house was like 50
Freezing?
degrees.
Oh,
yeah,
my
and
God.
I had to get gas because you could pour gas in there and then jump start it, and then it works if you pour gas in there, but it doesn't last very long. It lasts like probably 4 hours, and then they had to do an emergency run in the morning. But I'm such an idiot. I'm thinking I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh my God.
Ran out of oil. Welcome to the big world, or welcome to the big leagues, kid.
That I didn't have an issue with because I feel like when I moved in, I think my real estate agents though were like, okay, make sure you like transfer this over. Make sure you transfer this over.
Well, the attorneys, if they probably did because they're amazing agents, but the attorney usually like says you have to do water or whatever.
Yeah, but and so.
But nobody tells you like oil. Nobody's gonna. That's being a grown up. Part of being a grown up. No one's gonna tell you, hey, Cap, you gotta fill the oil tank.
Yeah, because even if you fill 50? It though, you don't even know that it like runs out.
Right.
And you don't know how to do auto refill. Like I knew that because I got like good advice, but so I automatically was like on auto refill. But I had shit happen to me. I'm very like reliant on like my parents. Like if something happens, I like call mom and dad. I'm like, help, like. And so they would give me a lot of solutions to like anything. My water tank or something went out like.
That's what I mean, dude.
That was like a $10,000 thing.
Anything. The thing is, buying a home is cheap. It's like anything else, but maintaining it is, everything has to do with maintenance. This question, I'm not going to ask you because I know you renovated, right? When you bought the house, the whole house, right?
Yes, but I did like small renos. The only like big renos that I did were like the 2-bath. So I built a whole bathroom. I added a whole bathroom, and then I completely gutted the 2 other bathrooms. So yeah, I did like when I first moved in, I did smaller renos. Then I started doing the bathrooms. I built like a whole 3rd bathroom, and then renovated.
You took before and after pictures?
Yes.
In this house, now I was just thinking back to how it looked. You wouldn't even recognize.
Yeah, this house is like amazing. Mine is a big difference too. If you look on realtor.com, you would be like, what in the fuck?
Was the
green rug.
Was the renovation stressful or was it easy?
So, again, my parents are like angels, and I would like call them freaking out and be like, my mom would like deal with like the contractors from like Dallas, or I would call my dad and be like, what do I do? He's saying this, or what do I do? I was still pretty young, so I really leaned on.
Was like, Jizz.
I really got a lot of help from my parents in terms of like giving me direction.
So it went relatively well.
Yeah, because my mom would be like, do this color, because if you give me like 7 options of like different wood stains, I will have a meltdown. Like even when we order food, I'm like, pick. When you want me to order, I'm like, pick 2 things, and I'll pick from those 2 things. Like you can't give me 7 options. You can't.
I need like 100.
Yeah,
I need 100 options.
I do not. I'm like, give me 2 of your top.
Beautiful thing.
No, I hate that. So even with my kitchen and stuff like that, I was like, Mom, what color should I do? What this, what that? And so I just really leaned on them. And like my mom loves interior design and shit like that. So I really leaned on that. My dad really helped me with the basement. Yeah, shout out to my parents. They helped me so much.
I did a lot of rentals here.
Yes.
And they said, my dad, Mr. Against Real Estate, he goes, there's a high, or he said there's 3 quote prices, high, middle, and cheap. Cheap is cheap. You're probably going to have to redo it soon. Mm-hmm. Middle is middle. He's good. Might be some flaws. He said, but is the most solid price. He said, high is high. If you could afford it, pay that guy. Pay the high guy. If not, pay the middle. And I go, all right. And then I went and tried to find the cheapest contractor.
Of course.
And then had to redo the entire house.
Yes, because when we first started
2 years
dating.
Later, people, when you're renovating, go hard or go home.
I
promise you.
I say, though, also don't cheap out on material.
The material
don't go like Nick important. Bougie because you're other level bougie. Just pick good quality materials. Like good quality
Yeah,
materials.
just materials, but you gotta.
Yeah, unless it's your forever home, then go fucking hard. But like, I feel like you go bougie.
I
too.
feel like renovating too. You can make it a lot cheaper by getting creative, right? Like how we did with the shiplap, right? We love shiplap.
How is that making it cheaper? That made it. We could have just painted.
I mean, that's the most affordable way to make the room look like it's in $1 million house, right? I mean,
Yeah. But like, if it's not your,
she's hating on me.
I'm not, guys, because I literally love our house so much, and it's so cute thanks to you.
Nicole doesn't like shiplap.
I'm obsessed with shiplap, but you
Nick
can't say.
I love shiplap.
But you can't say that's the cheaper version, because the cheaper version would be like.
And put shiplap on my car.
What? No, it's not the cheaper. It's not the more affordable.
It's relatively cheap for a high-end look. You only have to do one wall.
Like an accent wall.
Yeah, that's the thing with shiplap. Yes, it is. It is expensive, but people, you'd be surprised. Like people go over the top with their houses.
No, yeah, of course. But again, it depends. If it's like your forever home, like we know we're going to be here for a little while because we're having a baby. Like we're not trying to move. Like, so I accept you. I mean, I didn't pay for it either. So like, but I accept that you like wanted to do all that, right? If it was like a home where we were like just us two, like weren't having a baby and we're like, oh, we're probably going to leave, rent it out, like whatever, I would probably be like, we don't have to go that hard and do like shiplap in every single room.
No.
Because that's kind of like what you're 3 rooms in at this point. Like
I heard a very rich man say, if you want to splurge on something in life, splurge on your primary residence.
Jess.
Ben Mala, Life for Sale. I love him.
If you see yourself being in that home for a few years, yes.
No, his concept is buy it, spend it because you live there. That you want to be comfortable where you live at all times. That's your domain. If you sell it and it's nice and you'll be
money,
rewarded.
Yeah.
You'll get your
it's
money
a win-win
back.
either way because you do make your money back.
Like,
but
even for the job I did upstairs for the shiplap, it's like when you sell it, you're gonna get that money. All that money back triple fold.
That's true. My mom always says like, don't go cheap with stuff either, because it's true when you're like, if I had put cheap stuff in my home, the way that tenants, like my rental property, if I had put cheap stuff in there, the way that they treat the home is not going to be the way that I treat my home. So it's like you need like sturdy shit, because otherwise you would have to be replacing stuff constantly.
Yeah.
Because they don't take care of anything, versus like if you go a little bit higher end, it'll last longer, especially with like the mistreatment or misuse or whatever.
Any advice for first-time buyers?
It's so funny because I'm like I feel like I tell you this all the time, that I was so far removed. Like I was so like lax in my thing because I knew I had like my parents who would like kind of oversee the like important stuff. And then I really trusted my real estate agent. So I guess my best advice would be, don't just work with someone who's family or or go and find someone that like has good reviews. Like they know what they're talking about, can kind of have your best interests at heart, their experience. Like if you have a cousin who just got into the business and they've literally been in for 6 months, like, and you don't know a lot about real estate, I would like go to someone else who probably knows a little bit more. Don't just like work with like your brother or your aunt.
Get referrals, right? Get people. If someone refers you someone, that's the person you have to contact. If that person, that doesn't mean you have to work with them, but usually people refer for a reason.
Yeah. Because like I worked with my cousins, like they happen to be my cousins, but they've been in the real estate business for years. And let me give a real life example. My sister is a real estate agent. She's a few years in now. So like I would totally work with her. But when I was going to sell my home, it was a tough decision. I'm like, that's my sister. And then it's like my cousin. But I obviously, you want to think about it. It's a financial move. It's not like a family thing. It's a business move.
It's about the buyer, not the person.
And I actually was like, you know what? And I messaged my sister. I was like, I think I'm going to go with Gabby and Danny to sell my home. And yeah, it's like a tough decision, but I think that would be my advice. Like just go with someone who, now my sister is like years in the business, but at the time she wasn't. So I was, I just felt more comfortable because it is like a business decision. Like I feel like, I wanted to work with someone who's just done this for years, and they helped me buy my home too. So they know the house, like they know everything I've done to it because they saw it before, after, whatever. So that would be my advice. Work with like someone that has been in the industry for like a long time.
Mm-hmm. And who's very transparent. Transparency is worth all of its weight in gold. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that I have success just because I'm transparent. I can't not be transparent.
You're blunt.
Even if I try, like sometimes I'll catch myself trying not to be transparent and it just doesn't work. I get caught every time. You know what I mean? And I just can't. Mm-hmm. Transparency. My advice would be suspicious and be brave. If you're brave in real estate, no risk, no reward, you could be rewarded heavily. But
that's what my mom says too.
There's some very bad deals out there. There's some trouble you can get in with real estate, especially now. The bubble's big. So you got to be suspicious. You got to do your numbers, make sure, look at trends.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But for first-time buyers, I would say just don't get in over your head, right? Payment and stuff. You got to know that shit. You got to be comfortable.
And that's why I think you have to work with someone like you, because you always say this. You'll be like, I'm probably going to lose this deal because I'm being honest with my client and I don't want him to like be paying too much, or I don't want him to be, what do you call it? What? Like house broke or something?
Yeah, house poor.
Yeah, house poor. And I'm like, oh, you're so nice, because most people like wouldn't do that. They would just like try to close the deal.
No, I mean, my job is to close someone's mortgage, but ultimately I want to make sure that, right? Because I'm trying to do their family member. I'm trying
referrals.
So I'm trying to make sure it's a good transaction for them.
Yeah. That's smart, because like I said, I had a good transaction too, and I would go back to my real estate agents. And
people that push and don't give a shit, I've seen that side of the coin, right? Not paying the more, not being able to pay a mortgage, because the thing when you purchase a home, we know, as we spoke about with the oil, me running out of oil, her water tank, things pop up out of nowhere, and they're not like $150. They start at like $500 probably, and increase rapidly.
Yeah.
Right? To $5,000.
I think I put a new roof, but my agents, like, they negotiated that. I got like money off because it said like I was going to need a new roof soon, and I put a new roof.
Roof's expensive. Have nest eggs, right? Make sure you have a lot of people that, they're getting into these homes for relatively cheap for nothing, right? Which is good, but you got to try to have some savings ultimately, right?
Can you do my mortgage if I buy a house, or no? Because we're married.
Yeah, it's just be private. Yeah, I could do it. Don't get in over your head.
That's your advice?
Yeah, and don't refinancing, getting a lower rate. It's great, but I tell people all the time, we don't know when rates are going to go down, right? So if you're stuck in a payment for 2 years that you didn't want to be in, then you're going to have to sell. And rent ain't going down. Mortgage nightmare stories. So I had just a funny story to tell.
Is this the one you said that happened today?
No, I happened
or yesterday.
Yeah. I don't want to say the guy's name, right?
No, don't say his name.
I had a guy, my cousin actually referred him. He wanted to refinance his property in New York. His uncle, his uncle, all right, so his dad's brother, lent him the money, right? As I guess a hard money loan, I don't know, lent him the money, interest only. Purchased a home for like $250 or something. Some odd years ago in the 90s. So he wanted to get out of it. We had no clue that his uncle, owned the mortgage or had the lien, held the lien. So basically, fast forward, we go to get a payoff statement, and he wouldn't send it because he wanted to speak with me, whatever. I had no idea what I was getting into. So this isn't part of my job, right? To speak to a lender, right? Whoever we're paying him off. I don't want to talk to him. Just send the payoff, what the guy owes you. So he owed him, I don't know, $250, but he didn't have the value in the property to give him $250. So the guy, I said, the most we can give you is $217. He's like, go fuck yourself. I'm foreclosing on that bastard. Click, banged on me. I'm like, excuse me? Motherfucker was like, you ever seen Ebenezer Scrooge? Do you ever see the movie Scrooge?
No.
So
I think you tried to get me to like watch it this year. Yeah,
Scrooge. He was like the real life Scrooge, and I went back and forth with this guy forever back and forth. I'm like, this is your. I'm like, you know that his father.
You called him back after that?
I called. I called the borrower after that, and I said, "This is crazy." I did call him back, yeah, and then he picked up. He's like, "What?" And I was like, first off, you done? I'm just checking if you're done before I actually start because I don't want to get hung up on again." But I'm like, dude, you realize his father's your brother, right? He gave no fucks. The guy, he's like, he owes me $250, and I'm like, you're getting $217. He's been paying this guy interest only on the mortgage for 25 years. So he had no equity in the home.
So he didn't pay off any of the house?
No, because he lent them $255 in like the 90s, right? For the house he bought. And it's interest only. When you pay interest only, you just pay 12%. 12%. It all goes to the house. And that's what I tried to explain to dude. I did the math on the years. I said, this guy's bought the house off you 3 times already.
Holy shit.
And anyways, long story short, I ended up with the help of a really good attorney, New York attorney, bank attorney, ended up getting through to the guy to do it, to settle and go. And he was a son of a bitch. Long story short, this guy, that we did the loan for, we got to close. He's like, thank you, yada, yada. He wasn't as thankful as I thought. So I kind of, sensed because you didn't, it took a year and I think, I don't know, a couple months. I remember TJ looked, he said, what the fuck is this file still in the file for, in the pipeline for? And I'm like, dude, I'm going to close it. It was like a year.
And it just closed.
No, this is years ago. This is 5 years ago when I closed it. The guy called me yesterday randomly. Hey, Nick, it's such and such. I said, oh, yeah, of course I remember. What's going on? He's trying to sell the house. They fucked up the lien paperwork, or they screwed up. Sorry. My aunt says I can't curse.
On the podcast.
They screwed up his, the lien, and his middle initial wasn't in it, and it was wrong, something like that. So he's calling me, and I said, yeah, it doesn't have to do with the lender. It has to do with the attorneys, the bank attorneys. You got to... Mm-hmm. Sort that out. And I'm like, what are you trying to do? He's like, oh, I'm selling my home. We're buying another one. And I'm going, so you called me for help. And the 9th inning, you're already buying another house, getting a mortgage through someone else. You would think someone, right, with that story, telling story, would I wouldn't call anybody else but me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Scott. He's my carpenter. I would never call another carpenter, right? First, I might not like what Scott has to say, and I might hire another carpenter. But everybody has a go-to guy.
Yeah.
I hung up the phone. I go, wait, do I not call him back? And then I lifted a finger because I'm a nice guy. I'm whatever I did, but I'm like, this doesn't have to do with me. It's just crazy. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, but you couldn't do anything for him, right? And he's still going to use someone else for their loan.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Well, that's what I told the bank attorney. Said that he was in the Key West, on vacation, and that him and the wife called him freaking frantic about it because he did the closing, and he's not getting paid no money, but he's a really nice guy, and he's trying to help them out. And I told him, I said, listen, this guy is selling his house, and he didn't use you. He didn't use the bank attorney, who were the whole reasons that deal closed, right? That he's in. He would have, he wouldn't have even. I don't know if the uncle probably would have foreclosed on him. He'd have lost the fucking house. You don't remember?
I can't believe that's
Nicole,
his uncle.
Would you remember the person that saved your house, and saved the day?
Yeah, and told me that I was fucking only
wouldn't
paying.
You send him a Christmas gift every year, for God's sake?
Yes.
This is the thanks I get. What do you think about interest rates?
I couldn't even, you're going to hate me for this, but I couldn't even tell you what my interest rate is on my car. I could not tell you what my interest rate is on my home. I think my interest rate on my home is like a 3.6.
Okay, hold on. Don't be her. She's like, said nobody ever. That is you are a meme. Hold on, she just said, interest rates? Yeah, so I don't know the interest rates on my car, my house, you named everything you have an interest rate on.
I know. My
Are
car.
You nuts?
No, babe. So I don't know.
You're like the reason that people do predatory lending.
Yeah. But I trusted this guy because he came referred from my cousin, who's a real estate agent.
Yes, I'm joking.
I know
you have good rates on everything. That's the thing is people like that, they usually get good deals because the sales guy understands.
But I think my parents or my dad looked over my thing and everything. My dad would be the first one to be like, do not do that.
Okay. We'll talk more about interest rates. They're supposed to go up though. They're saying so.
Go up again?
Yeah, they
I hate that for you.
Today. Episode 14, Mr. and Mrs. The Podcast.
We said this on the last episode, but we'll say it one more time. By the time the next one comes out, we'll probably have a baby.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get here by Monday, I didn't even give you this update. If he doesn't get here by Monday, Tuesday we're going in for an induction.
Okay.
Tuesday night. They said have dinner before I go.
Ciao.
Okay, bye.